Welcome back for yet another installment of Fellowship of the Rink, here live at the Barrel Theory Beer Co taproom with owner, entrepreneur, we're going to call it beer name aficionado.
Yes, yeah.
Everything that happens here, Timmy Johnson, and back early, still technically on paternity leave, but we wrangled him in anyway, Joe Smith of The Athletic. Boys, this is different.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Thanks, you guys, for coming out here, for sure.
It's a pretty cool setup. I like the backdrop here with all the beers in the back, and
yeah,
looking good. There we go.
A lot of hazy IPAs, you know.
A lot has been happening in the NHL, but not nearly as much with the Minnesota Wild. We can touch real quick, though, because, Joe, haven't gotten your thoughts, Timmy. Love to hear what you think in general, but Judd Brackett does it again. I don't think I saw any negativity coming out of the draft, which is fantastic considering what happened last year with people pretty much booing him off the stage.
No, absolutely. I think my colleague Michael Russo put it best. He's been covering the team for 20 years. He's never seen such a universal praise for a draft before in his career here. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Zeev Bayam fell to them. They traded up one spot to get him, but he's absolutely a home run pick for them, what they need in their system. A guy we saw at the Frozen Four here in St. Paul, dominate there from the back end and help lead Denver to a championship. A guy who probably needs another year at school, they're thinking, before turning pro and maybe going to the NHL, but has all the tools you need as an NHL defenseman and can really slide in. Like, you think about this, for next decade, you could have a Brock Faber and Zeev there together in the top four, which would be pretty incredible.
Love that. Timmy, approval?
Yeah, as someone that just watches. I watch a lot of Wild games. I watched the draft. I was actually in Maine. We were watching it, and I saw his name drop, and the Wild grabbed him. I'm like, I think that's like a good thing, especially for Minnesota sports. Like, we're always like, we always want the coaches or the general managers to trade up, do something, act like you care about the team. And now it seems like the Vikings did that. The Wild have now done that, because I think this was a player that people were talking about, especially like on K-Fan and stuff like that. I heard his name drop. I saw him play. I watched the Final Four, the Frozen Four and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. It's exciting for a team that's like strapped. That's all we talk about. It seems like right now it's like the Wild have no money, which they don't, but it's like, it's cool to like, okay, cool, we got this guy, and then probably he's going to go back to school, it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
And then come back, and then, you got Faber, which everybody loves, and then this guy. It's exciting stuff, you know?
And he's one of us.
But
he said right away, he's a lake guy, not an ocean guy, being from California. We love that.
But then that one guy goes up and says, like, I'm going to be the steal of the draft. I like that.
Also, fourth-round pick going there. And he's at development camp, too, as we speak right now.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that – the first-round picks are the ones that get a lot of the attention and the headlines, but it's those mid-round picks that I really kind of – I covered lighting for a long time, and those guys, the Braden Points, the Zuccarellos, those guys really make a championship team. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of them do.
Yep.
But the development camp's on this week, and they have Riley Heidt there, Liam Ogren, who will have on our podcast later this month.
That's cool.
Jesper Wallstedt will be there. A lot of the future of this team will be here down the street here in St. Paul at their camp.
We love that. And what do we need to be watching at this year's camp? I know there's a couple of guys vying for spots. I know there's some guys that we know aren't going to be sticking around. They're just here to kind of get their first feel for the Wild organization. Who are the players that you're most intrigued to see what happens with them here this week?
Well, I think overall, a lot of times it is those draft picks, right? Because you don't see them on home ice for, this is the first time seeing Zeev up close, get their testing done, see how he works out, see how he fits with the rest of the group, see how he skates live. But I think the guys that, like you mentioned, that are vying for spots, you have Liam Ogren, who, in all intents and purposes, made a really good impression late in the season, who should be in the lineup starting next season. We don't know where it'll be, whether it'll be second line, fourth line, whatever, but he made an impression enough to be in the conversation. And Riley Heidt, a guy that they wanted to give every opportunity to play on the team next year. He's a guy, 19 years old, coming from junior, a really good junior career, but it's a lot to put on a kid. So we'll see what he does. Early in development camp, it's not like a high leverage situation. You're playing practices against your own team, and not until the rookie showcase and maybe September, and then training camp, you really see these guys playing against competition, but you still want to get your eyeballs on them right now. So I think the draft picks, first and foremost, because you haven't seen them live yet, interact with the rest of the group. But those guys, and then also the guys from Iowa this past year who Wild fans haven't seen up close yet, the Lamboses and those guys who you want to see some development from to see if they can make a case for themselves going forward.
Love that. Timmy, any guys that you in particular, just in our prospect system, you're excited to see either get more of a chance this year or see pop in the next couple of years?
Yeah, Riley Heidt definitely, because he's kind of like the most touted kind of prospect, right? I mean, he scored all the points in the world, did all this stuff. Yeah, Wallstedt, I want to know what the deal is with that. Like, we have 3 goalies, technically 2 still, but like, what are we going to do with him?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, and
I think it's going to be busy. I think it's going to be busy down there too. Like, with people being able to watch. I don't know what the times are that they can watch, but for sure.
Love that. Yeah. And I mean, Riley Heidt, we've got coming up here in probably 10 minutes for one of the more fun interviews, I thought, Joe. He's just he is such an unassuming, just good old boy, but he means business. Like, you'll hear it, but he basically said, like, oh no, I'm here for a spot.
Absolutely. And they said they want to give it to him or him to earn it. And he's all about that. And talked to his junior coach and people around him for a story that ran maybe last month. And he just already acts like a pro. And he's 19 years old. A guy who watches Patrick Kane clips, who watches Nikita Kucherov clips, a guy who, at that age is all about hockey. And that's what you kind of want in those guys who are going to be part of your future. Whether that makes the difference in if he stays or not, or whether he's the guy in the lineup in day 1 versus game 9 or maybe middle of next season. Yeah. We don't know, but I think he's a guy who has all the intangibles. He can play the center position. He can play the wing. A guy who's a very cerebral, smart player. Obviously tore up the WHL last year, but it's a big transition going from junior to the NHL. And just look at what even took Marco Rossi a while to go from one to the other, even though he had some setbacks health-wise, but not an easy jump to go as a teenager from that level to the NHL, which will be difficult if he wants to go that point.
What, if anything, do you want to see this week from Charlie Stramel? Like, I know this is going to be a big pivotal year for him, making the transition over to play for Nightingale over at Michigan State. Is there anything at all that you care about in this dev camp with him, really? Or can you even get much out of it?
Well, I think, first of all, he shows up really good shape, right? And his testing goes well the first couple of days. But I also want to just see confidence, his body language with him. This should be a very freeing move. I think we had Judd Brackett on our podcast a few weeks ago, talked about how this move to Michigan State from Wisconsin will be a great thing for him. He knows the coach. He can be trusted there. Won't necessarily be playing in the 4th line role that he played previously in Wisconsin. He could have that. So I want to see kind of that body language and the freeness in his playing abilities show, even if it's just drills or even if it's just playing in 3-on-3 or whatever, just see that different way he carries himself, because he was a 1st-round pick for a reason. I know there could be people say it was a stretch, or people could question the pick at that point, need versus best player available, but they're still very high on him. Okay, it's too early to judge him at this particular point, but I'd like to see him, doesn't have to tear it up or score every time he shoots the puck, but just show hey, this is why they drafted this guy, and show some confidence in his game and have some freeness in the way he's playing.
Love that.
That's how I would do it.
No, again, I don't think that anyone's, besides the fans, are ready to judge him yet. But this is going to be a big year. Eyes are going to be on him, especially playing in the Big Ten still. Thank God he's not in Wisconsin, so I can adequately cheer for him. But we're really looking for him to not go out and be a world beater. We just need him to take a step and show, okay, what we saw the last 2 years, that's not a thing. We're good. Move forward. Join us in the Brainerd Lakes area this Labor Day weekend for the CRMC Championship presented by Gertens at Cragen's Legacy Courses. Last year's PGA Tour America's Tournament of the Year kicks off Thursday, August 30th with free admission for everyone. VIP tickets are available and could go fast, so do not wait to claim access to 3 hospitality areas that have your food and beverage needs covered. Last year, Brock Faber, Mason Shaw, Kalen Addison, and Sammy Walker were all out in full force supporting their teammate, Minnesota Wild star in the making, Matt Boldy. Who knows which Wild players you might run into this year? Not to mention 2-time Stanley Cup champion Sean Chambers getting in on the action. Don't miss the Saturday night jam on the 18th green featuring The Hype. This is your chance to watch the next PGA Tour superstar right here in Brainerd, Minnesota. For more information, visit crmcchampionship.com. Before we talk about what has or hasn't happened here in free agency for the Wild, Timmy, let's go around and just talk about the beers that you got served up to us here.
Oh yeah, so we got raindrops over here. I know it's kind of hard.
Which I mean, that is
that's
a staple.
Yeah,
we
have that at X. It's usually there during the whole hockey season for sure, and they'll pour it at some concerts during the hockey season, but it goes quick. We can't make enough, but we were able to make enough for them and do that stuff. Then you have triple dry hop shooter, which we also have the untriple dry hop version of it at XL as well. It's up on the club level. They have like a whole craft beer area there. I think about 6 or 7 different breweries, which is pretty cool because you do not. I've been to a couple arenas and they barely have a hazy IPA there, and like there's 3 or 4 of them at XL, which is cool. So that's what you're drinking there. And then I'm drinking the same thing.
I gotta say, we got to work on getting that down to the main level because that's like my go-to regular beer for you is Shooter McGavin. And
well, you said the crawlers, and you're big on like tweeting the crawlers, and like you have a lot of engagement with it.
Crawler of the day, Crawler of the day is great,
and there'll be like 40 or 50 people that like it or like I don't know. There's a bunch. Like Wild Bites will like get your stuff and
we got to get more of them in there too. I think how many do you have in there for one game day?
Usually it's 40 case, so it's like 27 crawlers for like one game, and they're gone before. Wow. I think the first period starts because they're like a 25-ounce can.
Yeah.
So everybody sees value in that, which it is because it's.
If you're going to pay double digits in price for something, you're going to pay for a bigger.
Let's just do some math, right?
$25.
It's a. What do you get? A 16-ounce McGolden for like $11.
Yep.
It's like $23. You get 25 ounces of a vastly superior beer. Plus, why not both, right? Like set your base with this and then just like coast on a McGolden if you need to have anything else later, right? But this is how I start every hockey game unless I have friends that drag me down and don't let me get there quickly enough.
I think there was one like thread you posted on Twitter or whatever. It got kind of contentious about the price of beer.
Oh, people.
And you're like, how much was that crawler?
I beat him down.
You're like, dude, like it's better than almost McGolden, like for price per ounce.
I will pay $1 an ounce for this versus like 50 cents an ounce, not even more than that. Like it's probably like 70 cents an ounce for McGolden. I don't know. Seems like a win.
It's pretty cool because like we're a small brewery to have like your beer in XL, like a big, especially being in Minnesota with like how popular the hockey is here and stuff like that. To have our beer there, so I think that's pretty awesome, because I mean it doesn't happen anywhere else. And if you do get into an arena or a stadium or anything like that, like you're usually a pretty big brewery. They're usually they have the Lagunitas and all that stuff, So yeah, it's awesome. It's a great thing. We're going to continue to be there. So hopefully they expand it a little bit.
Let's make a deal here. Yep. We're talking about Riley Heidt. He's the focus of this episode. If he makes the opening night roster, that's got to be the first crawler you make is a beer and ode to him.
Yeah, something like that. We'll find some catchy name.
We go.
We're trying to work on that. We're trying to work on having like a players like brew a beer here, but it's like there's a lot of loops, there's a lot of signage, there's a lot of things that need to happen. A lot of OKs and stuff like that. We tried to do it last year.
All the red tape.
Yeah, it just wasn't working out, but I think they'll figure it out. So yeah, that'd be kind of.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll help push it through. And then what were you drinking?
Raindrops as well.
Raindrops as well.
We're all IPA, hazy guys. I'm a big hazy guy, so you don't always find those in arenas, right? You don't find those kind of things, and I love Golden as much as anybody.
Same, especially being at a hockey game,
they're different whatever beers. Like people want to compare them, and it's like no,
and that's not expensive either. Like you can go and have one, and then get like a Mick Golden or a Coors, whatever you want to do, or you want to get like a High Noon, sure. But I think it's $14-15 a pour, like a couple dollars more than a macro lager. Not bad.
Worth it.
Not bad, right? So it's pretty sweet. So
well worth it. Now let's transition then. Off season here for the Wild. We all kind of expected there weren't going to be any big waves made. We haven't seen either of the trades happen that have been discussed heavily, being Gustavsson and Rossi, which I don't know. Joe, do you even think that Gustavsson being moved is a possibility at this point with the goalie market and how it's shaking out?
Yeah, I don't know how strong a possibility it is right now. I mean, I think going into the offseason it was more likely than is right now because of how crowded the market was, right? There's so much more supply than demand at this point. A lot of teams filled their need at the goaltender position. Even Detroit got 3, it seems like, this summer. So I think that the Wild are very comfortable bringing all 3 of those guys into the organization next year, whether that's I do think even if it's the 3 of them, if it's Gustavsson, Fleury, and Wallstedt will get games at the NHL level. It won't be it won't be like 1A, 1B like it would be with him and Fleury, but they'll rotate them in around to get Wallstedt some game because he needs to play the NHL. He needs to realize because Fleury's going to be his last year of the NHL. And quite frankly, Gustavsson being back isn't a bad thing because Fleury and Wallstedt, neither of them are prepared to play 40 games in a season.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing.
So
right?
I think Fleury's better, a little under 40 games. You saw how he was good in his workload with a little less early in the season. He still has hockey left in his game, obviously, but I think that it's not a bad thing to like maybe reapproach this Gustavsson thing later on and see how he plays next year. Mm-hmm. You have Wallstedt, who seemed like he's ready. He only had 3 games of sample size to show, but nothing wrong with bringing those 3 guys back, working them all in together. There's going to be injuries too. Yeah. So, and obviously they got a really good prospect to play in Iowa. We'll talk about later on. We saw him really play really well in Worlds, but nothing wrong with having those 3 guys rotate in and out and giving some more of a buffer because then next year it'll be Wallstedt and Gustavsson or Wallstedt and whoever show.
Yeah. Fleury played pretty good towards the end of the season.
They did.
And
Jimmy,
I love.
I know you're not unique.
Fleury,
You're not unique in this sense, but you are a big fan of Marc-Andre Fleury. Yeah. This is the farewell season potentially. That's what we're hearing.
Yeah.
Like how does that impact how you're going to be watching games this year?
I mean, I'll watch them all. I especially go to the games. I think it's so fun. Like when he does play, like I feel like the arena is definitely like more hyped. People love that guy, especially like when we did that like for his old team when they came in, the Penguins, and they did like a farewell thing, and it's like then he comes back. I mean, that was pretty cool. Like he definitely is like an electric player to have on the Wild, and he's smart, right? He's got a lot of experience. So like I hope Wallstedt was able to come up and play. I know he got smoked his first game versus Dallas, but Dallas is pretty good, right? And that guy's coming in a lot of nerves. But then his other 2 games, he played very well.
Chicago did shut out.
And then the next game, it was.
And what was it? Chicago and San Jose.
And he played.
So like literally one of the best teams gets shelled. The 2 worst, he does really well. I think we can all agree that we're just going to throw all of that out and we're just going to start clean this year.
But they do say he should win against the bad teams, right? Like if you're a good goalie, you're a big prospect, right? You should win.
And that's a good way for him to end the season too, confidence-wise. Like, hey, you get a couple of games, no matter who it's against, it's an NHL team, and you have that feel, okay, I'm more comfortable, confident in my own skin. And having Fleury as a mentor, he talked to me about this a lot when I went to Iowa for this road trip, about how much he just learns just watching him in practice or watching him interact with everybody else, how his energy he has at age 40, almost 40, and kind of pushes him to be so much percent better. So the whole idea is having Fleury here, helping mentor Wallstedt, which will be so important going forward because him and Gus had a great relationship as well. But I think that's part of this whole thing is knowing your goalie of the future is here, the future Hall of Famer. And Marc-Andre Fleury, for like kind of a lost season last year for the Wild, was a breath of fresh air for like everything else, and not just the pranks he pulled and Duhaime, all that fun stuff.
That was pretty funny.
But like
who is his new victim?
I mean, you want the new guys, maybe? I don't know. I don't know if he wants to pick on a Russian in Trenton, but he'll keep pick on somebody else.
No, that seems dangerous. If anything, maybe who's in D-Nop, but still, I'm probably not messing with a Russian. It's almost, I don't know, maybe one of our earlier interviews, Declan Chisholm, now that he's re-upped for a year, maybe he ends up being an early target.
Well, I'd love to see like Middleton and him interplay because Middleton, I think, who signed an extension this past month here, one of the best personalities on the team. I think him and Fleury going back and forth would be pretty funny. I think, just their overall the swag they have to them.
What's kind of the steam though on this Patrick Laine stuff? Like Gustavsson getting moved, he'd have to get moved to get Patrick Laine.
Well, like you think about it, how much cap space the Wild have right now, it's around like 1 million, and Colorado Columbus would have to each probably half of the salary, and you have to move a contract, whether that is a Gustavsson, whoever. So
first he's got to get out of the program, and we've even got to be able to talk to him.
Yes, obviously there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts to get there. It's clear that the Wild had some interest. I'm sure other teams had interest too.
Yeah,
he has 2 years left on his contract, a very big contract. He's an elite goal scorer, which every team needs. But there's a lot of care you have to take with this. You have to take your time and make sure you have to do your due diligence, make sure it's the right fit. But also just the cap space in itself. A lot of moving parts have to happen for that to happen, for that to go. I think the bigger potential what if is McGorty, talk of the draft of the Wild, very much interested in him. But obviously the Wild decided to trade up and get Z, which has been a great decision.
But I'm good with that.
If they didn't, that was another option that they could have taken. Was traded for for him. So we'll interesting to see how this plays out this summertime.
Yeah.
He still is with the Winnipeg Jets organization, so still not been traded yet. So something to watch.
The real question I have from this past week is Billy addicted to giving out contracts a year early for 4 years with trade protection? Like, it seems like that's just the trend.
4 years, 4 years and limited or regular no trade protection.
But the year in advance is the thing that really gets me with all these.
You could wait, and I think he said this multiple times. He said it last year with Foligno and such, is like, we like the player, he's a great fit, and why necessarily wait, for him? Like, if you lose him, or Marcus Foligno, you have to replace him, which I agree. You could argue that the price wouldn't be quite as high. You're always assuming he'll have a good year that year, right? And then he'll be in the UFA. People pay up the wazoo in free agency. July 1, the numbers are crazy, right? So if you think the number is manageable, now you could argue last year, like Hartman had a down year before that, right? Foligno's coming off core surgery. Like, maybe you wait a little bit and then sign them. They both want to stay. They both want to be part of this future. But that's the decision that they made, and they feel like these guys are part of that answer to the question of, can they make the playoffs and make a run? So I think I came from Tampa, and they signed their guys 1 year in advance on 8-year deals, right? No trade protection, like Zuccarello's, the Sergachevs, and all that stuff, which led to people like McDonough being traded. Everyone's for Stamkos. They didn't do that for him, but so it's not abnormal to do it. I think the better question with Middleton more so is they got Zeev Byam in there. He'll be here maybe in a year. You have him locked up for 5 years, but they obviously have like a lot of intangibles with Middleton, a guy who can, even at the very worst, can play your top 4 or even in your third pair for a number of years here. If Zeev all of a sudden turns into that guy, that you think he might be.
I mean, any thoughts, Timmy? Do you agree? Do you contest?
No, no thoughts really. So
okay, fair. My question for you then, and maybe you haven't followed everything that's happened across the NHL free agency, but it seems like most teams in the Central got better or stayed the same.
Yeah.
As it sits right now, are the Wild a playoff team?
I don't know. It doesn't look like it. Well, actually, going back to the Bill Guerin stuff, I listen to the radios and all that stuff like that and whatever. And people do complain about that a lot, right? Like, why are they giving out these contracts? Why are they, doing this? I think he's trying to keep a core together for a little bit until he has to he talked about Ryan Hartman needs to come on strong. I think the coach was on right after him. What was Michael Russo was running that show. And he's like, he needs to. We need him to step up and do that stuff, And that's what we hope, right? They got off to a slow start. Even Kirill Kaprizov. It's I go to the games and he looks slow. It's just I don't know. Was there something lagging from an injury? I mean, there's a lot of things right? Can cause you to
totally.
And sometimes it takes a while. The dude got crippled. He got you need to watch it again. It's they might not talk about it because that's a big thing, right? Not talk about injuries in hockey. I think it took him a while, and then he got progressively way better. But it seems like we need to start a lot faster in the beginning of the season. So I think that's what he does. The contracts, they do not look great though, but it is what it is.
Look at the start too. You have 10 of the first 15 games on the road this year too.
That is a brutal October.
So the last couple seasons have been really rough as far as start goes, and this one they cannot afford to. You have a couple games at home, and you go 7 on the road. If you all of a sudden start, 3 and 6 or what, it's just you can't. Like they always say, you don't make the playoffs in October, but you can miss it. In October, November by being there was such a hole that they went on an incredible run when John Hynes took over end of November, right? They're 10-0-2, and they were in a percentage point in a playoff spot at December 30th, right? In the game of Winnipeg, then they went on they had injuries. Gustavsson got hurt. Kaprizov got hurt that same game. That Zuccarello was so it's so hard to play catch up in this league with the point system that. If you have
that's what they taught. That's a big thing, right? You can't start slow, right? With so many good teams, I don't know. I think the Wild are going to be the same as they were last year. To be honest, I don't know.
The roster's going to be very similar. We got to hope for health.
I think they'll be about the same.
I'm just nervous with. Really, for me, Nashville and Utah both got notedly better.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Sounds like they got a lot of players. I mean, I think Chicago will be pretty good this year too. Better. I'd say pretty good.
Yeah, not good.
They'll
be good. They'll be better.
I mean, they have 2 pretty good players now. So, I mean,
a lot of question too is like they got Jack Quepuano coming in, another assistant coach. They're trying to work and revamp the PK penalty kill, which I know John Hynes has said going into camp will be a big full. He came in middle season. Now he wants to make some tweaks and get some of these guys back in the personnel and whether tweaks with to make that work, because that's going to be such an important part of the season. Make sure the penalty kill can work.
I feel like we talk about that every year.
In the playoffs every year.
In the playoffs too, like it's just
it's not illegal to have a good penalty kill.
Yeah,
and they have guys like Jared Spurgeon is healthy. Obviously that helps a lot too. And then Foligno's healthy. Those are two of the best penalty killers in their team. And Faber again another year. So and their goalies really let them down too in the penalty kill last year. If you look at the stats and numbers wise, and that's something that often don't look at. But overall, a lot of things they need to fix and tweak. But I think they are one of those teams that will be in that kind of mushy middle or fighting for the third or wild card spot. Clearly, Dallas is one of the elite level teams in the division. Colorado, even though they're in cap hell right now and they're getting older, maybe they're still have high end talent more than the Wild do. So I think it is going to be the Wild fighting with Nashville, Utah, Blues, those teams for that third spot or the wild card spot, and then other teams in the Pacific Division, if they fall off, they have a chance too. So that'll be the whole goal for the Wild, I think, is make the playoffs, of course, and then go further. But they need to put themselves in position to get much points early on, so they're not fighting in their way back like they were all last year.
Yep, I am completely agree. And what did you think about the signing there with Trennan? Do you think that is a needle mover in any way? I mean, obviously it's not like high end scoring, but he does fill a need that we had in the bottom six.
He does, and I think going into the offseason, a lot of the talk from Bill Guerin and the players was kind of getting a little bit of the swagger back, getting a little bit more of the mental, physical resilience back, being a team that's just harder to play. And I know people make a joke about grit first and all that stuff like that, but this is not a team that can overpower you with all the skill in the world, right? They have some limitations cap-wise as far as up front. They have the Boldys, they have the Kaprizovs, they have some young players coming like Yurov. I think Haight's going to be a terrific player, Nogren too. But they really, a lot of times last year, weren't hard enough to play against in those games on the stretch against St. Louis and Nashville specifically. They were not good enough in those areas, in those big games. So getting a guy like this who John Hynes knows well is from Nashville. He forechecks like an animal. He's really physical. He can punch in some goals. You can play in that third line with, let's say, a Foligno and Hartman would be really a pain in the ass to play against. So you can argue the 4-year thing, which I get that whole argument. Free agency, you're paying for more term on that respect. But the whole idea is now he's not going to block an Ogren or a Height for making the team. Like eventually there'll be guys like Johansson and Zuccarello who won't be here anymore when their contracts are over. You have guys like the Yurovs and Heights them come in, but you need those kind of heart and soul guys in the bottom six that can play in the PK, that can be hard to play against. And so, I think it was a pivot for them because I think we thought they would go for top six skill, the Tarasenko and those kind of players. And then David Perron was the guy that was a good fit. Maybe didn't fit there cap wise for them. He's having this Ottawa Senators. So once they realized though that wasn't the perfect Patrick Kane signed with the Red Wings, like all these guys weren't really necessarily available to them or sign with them. So they moved towards the identity, physical aspect of it for their bottom six, which definitely needed some help last year. They needed more guys. You lose Duhaime, you lose Dewar. You need guys better in penalty kill. You need guys in the bottom six that can help carry you through some shifts there. So it wasn't a splashy offseason. Him and Loyako, getting some guys down there, but the proof will be, I guess, in the pudding going into the season and seeing how they can make this all work.
Fair. Timmy, anything else you want to hit on, whether it's something the Wild didn't do, specific players you're looking at for this year before we kick it over to the interview?
No, I think it's just I'm excited for the season to come up, and watch. I mean, I think the expectations are low. So anything that they do, lowish, right?
Yeah.
Like I think we always have high expectations here in Minnesota, like for the team every year. But I think we don't expect them to do much. So if hopefully they can gather themselves, I think, they missed opportunities last year. They could have made the playoffs, but they were losing games they should have won, and that kind of sucked. So it's and then a lot of people are like, how about you just don't get in the playoffs? If you're not going to get it, don't get in. Everybody wants a higher draft pick. Like the whole tanking thing is kind of dumb. I get it, but kind of dumb. So, I just like to get in the playoffs because playoff hockey at Excel, it's unmatched. it's unmatched.
It's pretty incredible. My first year, I came over and it's just the first round against the Dallas Stars. But that building,
dude, it was insane.
The game was absolutely electric, and I can only imagine what it'd be like, here on 7th or wherever, if the Wild were playing in the third round or in playoff hockey. So this place would be packed. I know that, but overall, it just I don't think it's impossible to happen in coming years. It just this year will be a grind, I think, for them. I think it'll be a really telling year for a lot of people in the organization. So it'll be a really good evaluating year for a lot of their veteran players and the new young guys that would come in and perform. Because you want to be able to show Kirill Kaprizov. You could be a contending team.
Please stay.
He loves it here, and he's a great fit, and he feels like he can be himself. But those guys want to win. Those guys who are the best at their position want to play for the Stanley Cup. And you don't blame them for that. So I think this next year will be important to show there are some signs going forward that this can happen.
If Mason Shaw doesn't sign anywhere, can we just bring him in to call Let's Play Hockey every time? Because that is the most electrifying I've ever seen that arena.
Pretty cool.
Winnipeg Jets signed him, so he's with them.
Oh, no.
He did sign them.
That's bad.
So I know I'm happy for Mason. Obviously still in the Minneapolis for the summer with everybody here. Heart and soul player, 4 ACL surgeries, grind his way back. But I'm happy he got a chance to play another one in the division with them. So hopefully for himself, gets a chance to play more in the NHL next year than the AHL. But great story, great kid, and a lot of guys would have quit after tearing your ACL twice, much less 4 times.
That's insane.
I would have quit after 1. All right. Well, on that, let's kick it over to a great interview with Wild prospect Riley Heidt. This interview is brought to you by our friends at Waggle Golf. Waggle Golf believes what you wear on the course should reflect your individuality, who you are, where you're from, your hobbies, interests, and passions. All the stuff that makes you, well, you. That's why every design is inspired by the desire to create a piece of apparel that strikes a chord when you see it, that makes you say, wow, that was made for me. Because in a lot of ways, it was. Ready to get your waggle on? Go to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 at checkout to take 10% off your entire order. Joining the show today is one of us by way of the final selection of the second round in this most recent NHL draft. We got with us here prize prospect Riley Heidt. Riley, thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Pleasure.
Now, first thing we ask everybody, and we've gotten quite a range of answers, but first time you saw the goofy Minnesota Wild logo, what did you think it was?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, to this day, I still don't know exactly what it is. I thought it was always a bear, but is that correct or no?
There's really not a correct answer. We've had people tell us it's a bear. We've heard cougar. We've heard that it's just a wilderness scene. And then I don't know if you've had a chance to connect with Adam Beckman at all, but he thought it was a UFO. So like that, there's no right answer. But I think the conventional answer is it's some kind of combo of wilderness and bear.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'll go with the bear. I think. I don't know. That's just what I get when I first look at it.
And our podcast is called Fellowship of the Rink, a playoff Lord of the Rings. I wasn't sure if you're a Lord of the Rings fan or if you have a certain nerddom or nerd itch that you know, whether it's like a thing that like a book series or a movie series or something that kind of like, do you collect anything that's kind of in that realm of like, hey, this is something that's kind of my cool little side thing?
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you I've watched Lord of the Rings. A lot of my family has, and they said it's good, but I'm not really into that. I love Star Wars. I'm not much of a book reader, but my dad kind of got me into Star Wars when I was younger, and I always watch it probably 100 times. So it's always fun once in a while to go back and watch that. But no, nothing really.
So do you like the older movies? Like, are you more into the cult classics, or do you like more of the current stuff?
Yeah, I mean, a bit of both. I think as as kids, me and my brother and sister kind of got roped into watching old stuff because that's usually what my dad would throw on. But I started to like them more and more as I watch them. But I think movies were just made a little different back then, stuff's changed, but I like newer stuff too as well.
Obviously, you're coming off a heck of a season, 117 points, and went into the playoffs as well. Just what was your biggest takeaway or area of growth this season for you? Like, where did you feel like, hey, this is a way you made your kind of mark?
I think for sure just my complete game. I think I really focused a lot on being a bit better and more responsible defensively, and just being a bit more aware and learning a bit better. I've done a lot of work with development guys in Minnesota, and they've helped me out a ton, and it even increased my production offensively, and I was way better away from the puck. So I think that was my biggest improvement, and just bringing my all-around game, and really worked on faceoffs as well. I thought I did get on faceoffs this year too, and it just led to trying to help my team win. So
the stuff that like Matt Hendricks and the development guys say is you're always hungry to learn about what you can do better, and not every player is like that. And every player maybe think that they're already good at certain elements of your game. Like, what were kind of things that you learned from maybe when you asked Matt or those guys, like, hey, where am I missing, or what am I doing? What kind of things did you learn from the feedback you got?
Yeah, I think I use Henny as an example. I think just I talked to him lots just about my kind of entering the D zone and just being underneath the puck a bit more, and stick positioning lots is what I worked on, and it really helped me just going into battles with your stick in different areas, and learning when to have two hands and one hand on your stick was a big thing, and because I like to have two hands on my stick always. So it was fun to learn that stuff, and it just really it was mind blowing how much I think it helped my game and translated, and I thought I got a lot better at it as the season went on. So.
And obviously you wish you were still going and pursuing the Mem Cup, but still a great run for the team. I mean, anything you took from that experience as a whole?
Yeah, I think obviously it's the closest I've been, since I've been in Prince George, and it's been kind of a building process. I think over the last 3-4 years I've been with the team now, and we really fully did believe we had a really good team and a really tight core, and we believed we had the pieces, but I think that's playoffs. Obviously, there's one team that's going to win, and if we could go back a little bit maybe and fix a couple things, but I think we left it all out there, and we battled as a team, and we just fell short. But really good experience for me and myself, and especially a lot of young guys too. We still had a lot of good young guys playing some important roles, so it was good to have that, and
One thing, talking to like Bill Guerin and the management here and development group, that they really feel like they're going to give you every chance in camp to earn a spot on the NHL team, if that particular works out that way. And what does it mean to hear that? And do you feel you're ready for like the next step? Do you feel you're ready to kind of come in and try to prove that you're ready for the next step?
Yeah, 100%. I fully believe that. I think I just every day I'm trying to improve on little things, and I just try to get better at one thing every day, and that's what I've been doing my whole life. And I believe it's got me to this spot, and I love, like you said, I love taking advice and trying to get better and do whatever I can to help. So I'm just really gonna do my best and grind all summer, and feel as good as I can going in. And I fully believe in my capability that I can do it. So
nice. What was the whole draft experience like for you? Like, both leading in with all the teams you were talking to, and then kind of how things shook out there in the first 2 rounds?
Yeah, kind of a whirlwind, to be honest. There was so much, stuff leading into it, the combine and stuff like that. And, you're doing so many Zooms, it's hard to keep track of, but you're just talking to, it seems like hundreds of different people every day, but no, it was a really cool, thing to learn about. And, I didn't really know it was going to be that in depth and stuff. And, it was cool, but at the end of the day, I think I went to the right team, and, I'm super pumped to be with them. So, obviously every guy's going to want to go as high as they can, but at the end of the day, I'm super pleased with where I went and super happy. So.
What was your conversation like with the Wild and with Billy or with Judd or those guys? Anything you remember from one of your hundreds of Zooms, I guess? Anything you remember from those conversations that kind of stuck out?
Yeah, I think at the combine, actually, when I went and did my meeting with them, if I remember correctly, I don't know, I don't think I think it was more just of a joking. It seemed more of a fun environment, and that's one thing I took away from it. I loved that, and they told me to tell them a joke, and I didn't have a joke at the time, but I think Bill asked me it actually, and then I went back at him and I said, I don't know, I can't remember, but I said, I bet you do or something, because he was being a jokester the whole time. So I kind of fired back at him, and I don't know, maybe they liked that or not, but it was fun.
What's the weirdest question you got across all the teams?
I honestly didn't really get any really weird ones. I think just there was some of the like psychological exams and stuff I think were kind of different, where you had to answer. I don't remember exact questions, but there were things that I never thought I'd have to answer. But I mean, I don't know how I can relate to hockey in a way, I guess. But it was yeah, there was just always some weird ones. But I don't know. I think yeah, I don't know. I'm actually kind of drawing a blank.
Oh, that's all right.
You obviously have two siblings there, brother and sister, both played hockey at a high level. Just what were those early years like for you? Like, was it all three of you guys together? I know they're a little bit older. Like, what was kind of the competition like between your brother and sister?
Yeah, super competitive, I think, because my brother's was he 6 years older than me, and then my sister's 4 years older than me. So I've always had to go up against my brother, and that was something I learned at a young age. If I got him mad, I was going to take a beating almost. So it was fun though, and the competitive side of the game, he helped me out with that a lot. And just remember all the days my dad was always nice enough to build an outdoor rink for us every year, and that's where I learned most of my stuff. And my brother just putting me through simple drills every night, and I'd stay out there from 3 o'clock till 10 at night, I think, and my dad would have to drag me off. But no, yeah, super fun memories, and I think that's just kind of what I fell in love with the most about hockey. Is helped a lot to do with my brother, especially. My sister was out there a bit too, but yeah, my brother for sure played a big role in that. So
you said your dad's on the farm now working. Like, did you have any kind of chores coming up? I wasn't sure what your kind of early years were like, as far as, did you have any odd jobs you had to do, or is that more a recent thing for the whole family?
Yeah, well, we've been farm grain. We've been doing that for a long time now, and we live on an acre just outside of Saskatoon. We have 40 acres out here, so there's always yard work to be done and stuff like that. And whether it's planting trees or whatever, we have race horses as well, so we do that on the side. And my dad's been racing horses for a while, and I don't know. Yeah, we all just try to pitch in the best, but I mean, we're all super busy, and now it's just me at home. My brother's moved out to a house, so, and my sister's not here right now, so it's just me at the house holding down the fort with my mom and dad. So
nice. With the racehorses, like, do you guys have any of the crazy Kentucky Derby names? Like, what's the coolest name you guys have given a horse?
No, we don't race in that high of a level. Those are it's more just we have a couple horses in Winnipeg, I believe, right now, and we had a track here in Saskatoon for a long time, but it just got shut down recently. So he's been racing horses in Winnipeg now, but I don't know, we had a lot of cool names. I think the one I liked the most, I don't know, maybe like Zip Eddie was one that was pretty cool, I think. And I don't know, there's a lot of funny ones actually. One was kind of named after me because it was born on my birthday. So, but yeah.
What kind of hobbies you get into that were not sports related? Did you get anything else that were not just about kind of hockey? Did you have anything else that kind of you grew up that was kind of your passion?
Yeah. Well, I grew up when I've never done a ton of hunting. My dad grew up hunting a lot, but just with hockey, it's always kind of during that time of the year where you're busy or whatever. And I like to call myself a big fisherman. I love fishing. So I kind of do in the summers when I spare minutes. So it gets pretty competitive with me and my dad and my brother. But we love fishing, and I also like to golf lots too. It's something I've been doing the last 4 or 5 years now, and I really took enjoyment for it. It's just nice to clear the mind. So
nice. You're gonna fit in great in Minnesota.
Yeah, I know. I heard fishing's unreal up there. My dad's pumped, so I gotta.
Oh, we'll get him out here. Well, what have you heard, like good or bad? Like, what are just some of the stereotypes you've heard about Minnesota, just being from the outside?
I mean, just more like if it suits a bit of an outdoors. Talk to Henny. He's got a nice place up there, and he's been ice fishing stuff, and that's kind of right up my alley. So It's super cool if you can go hunting and fishing and just kind of being in the outdoors. When we were there at development camp, we went to the Passawan Lake. I forget what that's called, but it was beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful. I couldn't believe that was that close from St. Paul. So that was super cool to see. And I mean, yeah, maybe have a cabin on the lake there one day would be a dream. So
there we go.
One of the 11,200 lakes there are in the state, so there's quite a few.
Yeah, for sure. Eh? Yeah.
Shoot up puck to any one of them. There anybody like on the current Wild team you kind of like looked up to, or anyone you kind of like, maybe not just the Wild but the NHL, you kind of model your game after, or try to say this is something I want to learn from?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always trying to kind of take different parts from a lot of players, but obviously right once I actually got drafted, I started watching Kaprizov more, and I can't believe now that I watch more, it's hard when I'm in Saskatoon. I don't know the channels we get on TV. You didn't get many Minnesota games, so I didn't watch a ton of them before, but I kind of always watching Edmonton, those type of teams. But yeah, he's so like the way he protects the puck, I couldn't believe it, and it's something I'm trying to work on now. Actually, it's funny, but he is he's a world class player, and he's gonna be one of the best in the world one day, and he is right now. So just him, I've been watching a bit with little details he does, but in the past I watched a lot of Sidney Crosby's kind of my role model growing up a bit, I think, and I've been watching Nikita Kucherov too, just the way he plays with the puck. I think the way he can dish it out, and you never know if he's going to shoot or pass, so it's someone I like to kind of look at a bit too.
Nice. You think you'll give us any interviews like Nikita Kucherov's?
I don't know. Maybe one day. I don't think so.
You went through the exceptional status program, or the approval process. What was that like, applying for that? And was there any motivation in maybe not being part of that? I wasn't sure, or was it freeing? Like he didn't have that pressure as much?
Yeah, I mean, I thought after the first year I had there in Bantam, I thought because I played underage Bantam, and then once I played my first year, and then once I got drafted, I just thought we talked about it as a family, and I thought it was the right thing to try to do. I thought I was ready for it, and fortunate enough, all of us got to actually play at 15, so it didn't really matter because we all get to play anyway because of the bubble. But yeah, I mean, I've always used it as motivation whenever I've been turned down, and obviously it bothers you at the time, but I think at the end of the day, it just made me better and push that much more to get better and prove that I can be there. So.
Yeah. And I mean, you were part of what's probably going to go down as one of the next historic draft classes. And there was a wide range of where players were going. On one of our other podcasts on the network where we talk more about Wild prospects in NHL draft, we had you going in the first. But do you have a chip on the shoulder at all from where you went in the draft, or did you not really have expectations going in?
No, yeah, I think I had expectations. I believed I was, deserving to do that. And I mean, I thought I had a super good year on my draft year, but at the end of the day, I love it, to be honest. I think the more, dollars you have, better off you're going to be. And I mean, I think I, proved it again this year with just the year I just had. So, it doesn't bother me at the end of the day. I think it's just, it's a number, and, I'm just going to use that. And, it's still a pleasure to be drafted that high. I never complain. It's, you get drafted at all. So, I'm super honored and, fortunate I've even gotten that spot. And, yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to, do my part, and I can control what I can, and, not worry about anything else.
You mentioned rounding out your game into a more complete game. Like, I think anybody from your status who comes up has always been in a top 6 or top line role in your entire life. Like, do you think that helps you in the future if you come into NHL where you may not have to start at that particular role, like where you can maybe fit in that middle area that maybe you're probably not used to? Yeah,
for sure. That's, something I really, actually thought about. And, I was, lucky enough to work with, the coaching staff that I had this year with Mark Lamb, my head coach. He's played in the NHL, and he's won a Stanley Cup. He's got a lot of experience, and Jimmy Playford helped me out a lot too. He came on our back end, and he's coached a lot, and he knows a lot about the game. And, I really took a big role in the penalty kill as well. I know something I, thought was probably my biggest area that I, surprised myself maybe a bit in the most. And, we had one of the best penalty kills in the league, and I really took pride in doing it honestly every night, and I think it helped my defensive game out as well a ton. And it's something I want to be able to go in and be able to play any role. So,
did you have like college options at all, or did you always think that the junior route was the way to go for you? I wasn't sure what guys kind of decide whether one is better than the other.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna obviously I had some people reaching out, and I was thinking about it for a bit, but I thought just at the time where I was in my life, I thought it was always my dream to play in the Western Hockey League. Just growing up watching the Blades in my hometown, so that's just something I think a lot of Saskatchewan kids dream of, and I love doing it. So I don't regret my decision at all.
Nice.
What makes Western Canada hockey players different?
I think the grit and the toughness. I don't think. I don't know. It's just. I don't know how to describe it. I think it's just, tough league, and it's always going to be one of the best leagues in the world for junior, and it's just teams can surprise any teams on any given night because it's just competitiveness down here is good. But I don't know. It's
Any inspiration behind the hand to the ear celly, or where did that come from?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's not many guys who like scoring goals as much as I do. I know I don't. I know I pass the puck more than I shoot, but I love scoring goals, and I can't describe the atmosphere in our barn in Prince George when it's packed. It's exciting, and I just I like to get the fans going and I find that when they're involved in the game with me, I play better. So I love kind of feeding off their energy, and I don't know. It's just something I kind of started doing, and maybe it's more of a habit at the end of it when I kept doing it, but it was good. Yeah.
Nice.
Was it probably a whirlwind too, where you had that game and you also signed that weekend too? Didn't you sign your entry level deal that weekend?
It was my birthday actually. I signed on my birthday, and then I got a hat trick that night against Kamloops. So that was
and your horse's birthday.
Yeah, so that was a day that I'll never forget actually. Yeah, no, super special.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you help me here? We got the next draft coming up here in about a month, and I'm hoping you can give me a little bit of a scouting report on your buddy Tarik Parashak.
I got good things to say about him. He was, I played with him actually at camp 2 years ago at 16, and I knew he was special right away. We clicked super easy, and I didn't, he's coming from edge, I believe he played, and he didn't make her. Yeah, she's on our team for this year, and he ends up putting up what he does. And I believe that I kind of knew he was capable of doing that. Honestly, I think he's so smart away from the puck, and you think he's not in a threat position, and all of a sudden he's got 2 or 3 on you that night. So he just finds a way to do it, and he can be gritty at times, and a really good guy off the ice as well. And it's he's going to surprise a lot of people, I believe. So.
Forward that on to Judd and Billy.
What do you think? What do they want Hunter Haight too? It seems like you clicked with him in development camp as well. That line you guys were working with. Yeah,
for sure. No, I love playing with him. I think he's got speed and he's smart as well. And I thought our passing was just pretty good. We seemed to be kind of in sync for a bit, and it was just fun to get the opportunity to play with a guy like that. And it's good.
Do you want to just apologize in advance for all the concussions you're going to give to broadcast folk when they have to read both your names and figure out who's who?
Yeah, I know. It's I heard I don't know what the nickname will be, but that's funny that they're pretty similar, I guess. Eh?
What's your nickname then? What nickname do you go by?
Hider. That's kind of
So probably both in that same wheelhouse, I'm guessing. So
yeah, I think he's Hater.
Oh, this is gonna be great. I love it.
Yeah. Do you pay attention to a lot of the other wild prospects coming through? Like, did you saw Ogren made his debut, or Husendinov? And I know Yurov's about a year away, but
yeah,
I wasn't sure how much you kind of pay attention, how much you watch those guys.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit, obviously, but I think I'm just honestly just focused on myself, and I think it's always good to see obviously what those guys are doing, but I'm just trying to focus on myself and try to get the best that I can be. So.
And so, how's your golf game since you're going to be playing later today? I'm curious what your scouting report of you as a golfer is.
I think it's pretty good. I don't know. I'm a hockey player still, so when I hit the gym in a day, maybe my swing won't be feeling the best, but I don't know. I'd say it's good.
Nice. Well, maybe we wrap with this then, Joe. We have our getyourwaggleon.com. Everyone get there right away. Promo code SP10 to take 10% off. We've got our Waggle Golf question being, who is in your dream golf foursome? So 3 people, dead or alive. They can be in hockey. They can be celebrities. Who are the 3 that are going to go out there with you?
Oh, I'd say, well, for sure, Tiger Woods, obviously. I think maybe Michael Jordan. I heard he's an unbelievable golfer, too. And, man, that's tough. Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, and
wow.
And probably
that's you though. You have to have the four of you.
Me. I'm 4th. That's what I'll do. Then. Yeah, that's what I'll go with.
Who's in the cart with you?
Tiger, so he could help my game out, I think.
Yeah. I know your brother would be very disappointed in that part of the foursome. I know your brother would be pretty.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that, to be honest. I don't know. He would. Yeah, maybe I could throw him in there. I guess I'd take, if I was just to throw him in there, I'd take out probably Tom Brady, probably Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods would be the 2.
I didn't mean to guilt trip you on that one. I just figured some people said family members or either their dad or like that, and so
yeah,
I figured I'd give you the.
Out there. Yeah, I didn't even really think of that, to be honest, but yeah.
If my brother picked those 3 over me, I wouldn't get mad at all. I
don't think my brother. I don't know if he'd be picking me if he could pick 3 of the, all-time athletes. But,
but yeah, no. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you probably in like 3 or 4 weeks, I guess, for camp or development camp and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having us. Pleasure. It's fun.
No problem. We'll catch up with you soon. Good luck on the course today, and good luck the rest of the way, and we'll see you in about a month or so.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
What a guy. Everyone, get excited. Pay attention to what he's doing here this week. It's, I don't know. Again, we talked about it already. Dev camp, always exciting. I don't know. I really am pulling for this guy to at least get a chance. If he doesn't make the team, he doesn't make the team, but I'd love to see him just get an opportunity to play with some of the top tier players.
I think in camp will be so much fun. I mean, development camp's one thing, but in regular training camp to see him play, and most of the time you have your top prospects play with some of your veteran players, see how they can think the game, how they can fit in, and for all intents and purposes, he's done everything he can do the junior level. He's won a lot of big games. He's the points leader in his franchise history in WHL. Has a good head on his shoulders, and the drive is there. So I think people are, after all this talk about the prospect pool, the Minnesota Wild, to see guys like Ogren, Kustendinov, Height there. Obviously Faber, we've seen him. But to see a guy like Height, make a case in camp for a spot. And we know he has a 9-game tryout period to show that before going back to junior, no HL eligibility. But I think people are excited to see the young blood coming in with a lot of the veteran players that we talked about before.
Love it. Now, Timmy, this is the first time we've done Keyboard Warriors from the tap room.
Yeah, I know.
We have the hot take segment. We bring it to you every week. Keyboard Warriors brought to you by Barrel Theory. Go ahead, promote away. Shamelessly plug.
Yeah, I mean, we're here on West 7th Street, or East 7th Street, 6 blocks from the XL Energy Center. You can come down here for all your before concert and after, and before and after games as well. We'd like to have you here. I don't know. It's kind of cool. We had a Keyboard Warriors beer. So when you were looking for an idea,
that back.
It was hard. We were like brainstorming. And it was just like, I don't know. Like it's to come up with a segment thing, I'm like, let's just do Keyboard Warriors because it's everybody's like hot takes. And that's what people do on the internet. You type out, you don't have to talk to anybody. You can type whatever you want. There's no no one can come after you. No one can yell at your face. Anyways, so it was kind of fun to come up with. And you guys did it for a little bit. So
love it.
Yeah.
Let's see it then. Well, What do you have for us? What kind of hot takes can you throw our way?
Man, well, you took the Kaprizov thing. I don't know if he's going to stay here. I think there's a 57% chance he stays here, unless they get.
That's precise.
Very
I like
specific.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
57.932.
57%, yeah.
Unless they get someone to that can be with him here. I don't know if some of the Russian prospects would help with that. It's hard to say. I don't know if he really cares about that. Maybe he does. But to get another, and I know he wants to win. I think he won in Russia, right? They won whatever their championship is called over their cup. If they get certain players to play with him, that's going to score goals and they can work together really well. I think they want that. But I do know, like you said, I think he does like it here. I think just because of our atmosphere at Excel and the state of hockey and that stuff, even though Florida is now calling themselves a state of hockey, which is,
I respect it. I
have some buddies that are they're at breweries that are big Florida fans, and they're like, we're the state of hockey. And I'm
big Florida fans?
Yes.
Then so they've started watching hockey about a year or two ago.
It's just they're pretty strong
Cup
on it now.
finalists the last 7 years have a lot of been from Florida, right?
That's insane.
They're
They're
the last 6 or 7 have been.
Yeah, we come back with it's just more about winning cups and getting the playoffs.
All we got to do is show them the video of the state tourney. That's it.
I get it. We have the hockey, with women's and the men's. It's very popular.
Hang on. How many Minnesotans were on that team and how many Floridians were on that team?
Probably zero. Probably.
There's at least one Minnesotan.
One Minnesotan.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for Florida this year, though, I know Kyle Oposo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else, though? There's got to be more.
There's not a lot.
So the cup will come to Twin Cities then, right? The cup will come.
Yeah.
To
He said he's bringing it. We just don't know where yet. Yeah. But I'm waiting for it.
Florida stuff, even though I have heard in Florida there is a bunch of rinks that people do.
It's getting
indoor,
better,
right?
It's grown tremendously since the 04 Cup of the Lightning. It's grown a lot, and then you saw the Lightning success the last 10 years, and even in South Florida too with they have the new practice facility. There's a lot more, not as many as of course in here, up here or in Michigan or whatever, but there's definitely more of a groundswell of grassroots effort of local hockey, even in Southern California too. You see it with the Ducks and stuff, but it's hard to compare that to as far as overall growth of hockey in Minnesota. But when you win championships and you grow a generation of fans by doing that, so more fans will pick up and play and watch it by the street hockey that they get gifted and all that stuff like that. So I think I've been from both sides of it, living in Tampa Bay for 12, 13, 15 years and covering the sport there versus coming here and being inundated with how big hockey is everywhere. You definitely appreciate the growth from a non-traditional market that's grown into places sold out 7 years in a row.
Cool area to go watch a game too. Just being out there for the Frozen Four a year ago was incredible.
Yeah, being in Florida is always cool.
Yeah, they have probably more on the site availability than the X does as far as land to do pregame concerts and that kind of stuff like that.
It's just right there. Imagine your tap room being just right there on the same corner.
It's hard to have pregame concerts here in December.
Yeah, that's tough. that's
only for the party.
Fair.
Yeah,
all fair. They lack the creativity to pull it off. Well, Joe, spin it to you then, and this is obviously not knowing how this season goes, but hot take. If Kaprizov's not willing to sign July 1 next summer, do you got to trade him?
Well, it kind of depends on how honest he is, but if he does tell Bill Guerin, hey, I'm going elsewhere, then you kind of have to. I think you have to explore that option.
Get something.
As much as you hate the idea, and I still think there's a chance he's going to stay and wants to stay, and they want to prove that he can be around a winner here. It's only the smart thing to do as an organizational perspective. If you have one main big superstar, you can't lose him for nothing.
Correct.
You can't go into the year and I know you might get more trade protection if you can still trade him in theory in that final year, but you have more options going into that before that.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to exhaust every option and every hope before that's even a consideration. I'm not trying to start trade rumors with Kirill Kaprizov on this podcast, but I think it's only smart moves in an organization that's built themselves around a guy like him with the hope that next year they'll be not shackled as much with this cap space. They can build around him. If they can't sign him, if it's obvious from his camp or him that he can't, doesn't want to stay, he wants to go to New York, he wants to go to wherever, then you have to think about that, which I think would be a sad thing for this area. They're already the best player that they've ever had in this organization. And even when he was here for a year and a half or two, just how good he is. So I think selfishly for fans' perspective, we want to make sure that he's a lifer. But obviously it's a business, and if players want to win, so you don't blame any guys who want to go and play for a championship.
Timmy,
I guess we had Marian Gaborik he was pretty good, like his first.
Different players, but I'm
good,
already prepared to say Kaprizov over Gaborik.
Yeah.
But that's the only other guy that's been even in the same conversation.
Same even atmosphere. Yeah. For sure.
Timmy, do you just slide the check across the table and just tell him to fill it out, or how do you handle that?
But when we become on cap strap, right? Don't we have a bunch of players we need to sign? Like Kaprizov.
Yeah, but I think he's priority number 1, 2, and 3.
Kaprizov, you have Faber, you have Marco Rossi, other NHL deals. You have Wallstedt will be an RFA. So you have other contract. I mean, Faber will be signed this summer, right?
Yeah.
And then that contract will kick in after next season. But then you'll have Rossi's an RFA after next year. You have Wallstedt, and we'll see what he shows. But if he becomes your number 1 goalie,
I hope he does.
He'll get a bump, a few million. So that's all in that. I think they have $73 million committed right now to 15 players. For 25-26, and that doesn't include some of the top guys you mentioned. So
I think you need to, because Minnesota now has built a nucleus of superstars, right? Anthony Edwards, Justin Jefferson, Kirill. I think they will give him the money that he wants.
Who stays the longest out of those 3?
Well, if they can keep Kirill, I think they would, because in football, it's just different. They usually don't.
But if Kirill stays, who do you think is the first to leave the Minnesota market out of the 3?
Out of the rest of the 3, I think it'd be Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, that feels like the. I don't know. I feel like Jefferson might be.
I don't know.
He's getting real chummy at his Vogue shoots with Joe Burrow. I don't know.
I know he just signed, but yeah.
The NFL is the one league though where you say "get me out" and you're out immediately. If you've got that kind of pulling power. I guess NBA is the same. Yeah,
hockey's pretty good about not doing that stuff. The stars usually stay. Until
if anything, it's the opposite. It's Jacob Trouba saying if you trade me, I'm just not going to show up. And he's like, oh crap, what do we do?
It seems like most of the time it's well, this team has got cup potential. Can you trade me there? I think there's a lot of that type of talk. It seems like, right? So
yeah, okay,
yeah.
Well, there we go. That was a good little Kirill Kaprizov theme.
But I think they need to bring in someone. If it stays the same it is now, I feel like they need to bring in another goal scorer to play.
Well, we're hoping we got a couple of guys that can become that.
Maybe not even with him, but especially in the second line.
Yeah.
We'll see.
This is fair.
Yeah.
This is fair.
We'll see.
Well, again, another round of Keyboard Warriors Hot Takes brought to you by Barrel Theory Beer Company. Ended here, just a round of promotions then. Joe, do you know of anything that Russo's got in the works while you're doing dad duty? Anything that we want to promote for the Athletic?
Yeah, Russo will be at development camp, and he'll be talking to Charlie Stramel, obviously follow up and seeing how he's doing and kind of the look ahead for him. And the conversation with John Hynes recently about the team and how they might potentially have a Ryan Hartman reuniting up top with Zuccarello and Kaprizov, and how that shakes down the lineup and what they might look like on opening night, which is a long way away. I think 94 days away. We'll have a lot of offseason coverage, including when Brock Faber signs, and obviously we'll have some stuff I'll take over in end of July and early August for more offseason things. But yeah, it's kind of a slower season now for hockey once the draft and free agency gets done. But we'll have it all covered here at the Athletic, and we'll be coming to Barrel Theory here.
Yeah.
There we go. And Timmy, we just celebrated the 7th anniversary here on 7th.
Right?
Oh man, it was.
You were drinking the stouts.
Nothing else to say. Oh my God. Your barrel-aged stouts just do something to me, man.
Yeah.
They were incredible, but huge showing, great food lined up throughout.
Yep.
What do we have coming up though in the summer? I know nothing like that, but any events, any big beer releases, anything you want to promote?
Not until the wintertime, pretty much. We're just trying to get through the summer. Been pretty busy with the Saints games and stuff like that. Just kind of just treading there till we get to the wintertime. Then we'll release some more barrel-aged stouts.
Those I know are on delay until winter, but anything exciting coming up on tap in the coming weeks, months?
Nothing crazy. Nothing that's, mind-blowing, in the world of
tried and true, reliable stuff.
Yeah, just, a lot of the same stuff we're doing. A lot of hazy IPAs. Just continue on that stuff. We have a lot of double dry hop stuff coming out, I know people like that, so.
Triple dry hopped was delightful.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I thought so, for sure.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, everyone, make sure come check out the Barrel Theory Tap Room if you have not already. This coming year, obviously, make sure you're getting it at the X, or I guess this is our last year of it being the X, huh? That's gonna be weird.
Yep.
I'm still gonna call it that, just like I still say Mariucci, but that's not important. Everyone, thank you for tuning in as always. Please make sure you subscribe, 5 stars, the whole 9s for the podcast, and make sure you check out our YouTube channel if you want to see this beautiful tap room, of course, on video, as well as any prospect highlights. And, well, you all know what we've done. We say it every week. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you all. See you next week. You stay classy, stay to hockey.